not gonna bill in claims. I was thinking I needed to come
Right.
in tomorrow and assign those in claims, but no.
Same.
I don't want them twice or 3 times a month, so I'm okay with not having it.
Twice is good.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recording in progress.
Roll call, Jesse.
Andrea Brueggemann, Samuel Sims,
Here.
Lisa Schmidt,
Here.
Tierney Peterson, Kimberly Bishop.
Here. Calls to order at 7 p.m. The City of Grant abides by the Nebraska Open Meeting Act in conducting business. A copy of this is in a binder in this meeting room on the south wall as required by the Nebraska state law. We reserve the right to enter into closed session at any time during the meeting in accordance with the Nebraska Open Meeting Act, even though it may not be indicated on the agenda. It is our intention to take up items on the agenda in order presented, however, we may choose to take them up in an order that serves us. Anyone wishing to speak to public comment during public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person with a limit of 2 individuals speaking per topic. This meeting is being recorded by the city. Did you guys have a chance to review the agenda?
Yes. I'll make a motion to accept the agenda for August 20th, 2026.
Second.
Carol moves, Sam second to accept the agenda for August 20th, 2026. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carried. Alright. Review and action on prior meeting minutes.
I move to accept action on prior meeting minutes for August 11th, 2026, and move the reading.
Second.
Sam moved, Kimberly second, that we accept the prior meeting minutes from August 11th, 2026, and waive the reading. Any discussion? Sam, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kimberly?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, motion carried. Any public comment today? Moving on to new business. Budget workshop for fiscal year 2026-2027. Can you guys believe that, 2026?
Fast.
Anyways, I digress. Derek, how's things going with our tight budget, our squeaky tight, can't squeeze a drop out of budget?
It's going.
Have you put in many hours?
Yes.
Are you ready to be done?
Ready to be done with the Excel sheet, yes. But since we went over it last time, changes that I did make that you guys had recommendations on, which I made those over to Park and Rec, I do have highlighted in orange. So if you look at the income expense, when we get to the Park and Rec budget, I will explain I did actually increase the revenue into it by about $14,000 to kind of help cut that deficit. But when we get to the Park and Rec, we'll go over more of it. So then that changes our total income to $7,515,768 from $7,505,768. And then moving on to the expense side, we it dropped a little bit based off of your guys' recommendations from 513,775 to 503,500. And then that brings our total expenses to $9,805,056, with a deficit of $2.2 million for projects that we have budgeted. So moving on to the airport, I did not change anything in there, that still remains, everything there remains the same as what we talked about last Tuesday. And then moving on to our ARPA, that is just on there, as it's showing what we had in prior fiscal year. We're out of ARPA funds and it is closed out. So, CDBG, we do not have any incoming or expenses there. Our cemetery, I guess you guys all have this other sheet too.
Yes.
Sorry, let's go back to the airport, and I'll kind of explain. Everything highlighted in yellow is what we have budgeted for in the capital outlays of
Okay.
the departments. So if we go back to the airport, that $1,098,670, that is our blue acre rehab project.
Okay.
And obviously 95% is supposed to be covered by the FAA, and then the grants from the state, and then we will have 5%, which we were figuring.
Which is a really good deal.
Yes, and I know moving forward, they talked that projects will be going to a 90/10 moving forward instead of 95/5.
Cutting it a big time.
Yeah, on a big project like this, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then, yeah, moving on to cemetery, you guys approved their budget last meeting, but our capital outlay in that budget is the kiosk replacement. Again, put an extra 500 on there, because computer prices, how much AI stuff and RAM, all that changes very often, so I did have a little extra to it, just in case, but we're planning on 2,500 is what the company told me. And then, moving on to our CRA, that's.
Our title amount of the income.
Oh, on the CRA, yeah. So it should be CRA account at the very top. But on this project, we do have infrastructure that we still need to pay for the CRA. We are hopefully for that part, obviously, it's gonna be something there. Nothing else has changed on this. And then moving on to our debt service, we do have, this was the transfer from sales tax. This was, we were making the 2 payments on the pool. We do have the money in the sales tax to do that. And then economic development will remain the same. We do have the capital outlay in there. Is a loan to the CRA, which we just passed a resolution, hopefully we go out 4 years, and we're supposed to start this year, where they haven't had any sales or true income coming in. We moved that back 4 years for it to get back to economic development once we supply that money to the CRA. And our electric, the grants and bonds, highlighted in orange is at 1,124.87. And then moving down, I know we were trying to limit what we were taking out of electric, as you can see. Last year, our actual was 175. This year, we took out 167. I did, last meeting, we were at 86,000. I did bump it back up to that 100,000. It's kind of where we probably want to be max out of the electric department, and then put it back in the department rec. projects for the electrical department. Capital outlay, we have the subdivision service, what it will take to run the electrical in the subdivision. And then in our contract labor, we have pole testing, and then the substation testing in there also. And transformers, we always budget for LED bulbs. I know Midwest, when the streetlights burn out, they're replacing them with LED lights. In case, that's just in case we had a order another outlet lights. That should be everything for the electrical. Federal airport, that will just come in and go out, so we didn't even put anything in there to the airport project. And then our general income, I previously had the same amount in there. If you look in the new pages, you'll actually see I have a new income, and in the general, it's 572, because we did get our evaluation today, and I did work with, I worked with Tracy most of the day to get a lot of this prepared, but, our evaluation this year come in at 102,070,526. Our growth was 0.27%. And then if you flip to the very back page, well, I guess looking at this on the general, you will see I did update the taxes collected from 3,334 to 3,491.77. That is just the base. If we were to take the 2%, we would end up getting 351,977, but 10,000 of that does go to investments, and then the 341 go into the general. So if you look at the back page, Tracy did prepare, valuation growth, inflation this year is 5.26%, is what they figured. Our prior year request was 344,164, and our levy was 36,17. She did prepare the options that we can look at. If we wanted to do the same as last year, obviously we'd drop our levy 3 cents almost. To avoid the joint year, the public joint year that we have to have, we would be going with that 351.97. We want to take at least some to try and maintain and keep up with this. If we wanted to increase by growth and inflation, we would have to go to the postcard, which would in return get us to $363,197. And then if we wanted to go for the same levy rate and keep it the same, we would be looking at $3,071.76. And then if we wanted to maximize the levy, we would look at $472,000.
And which one are you recommending?
I would recommend, I mean, the 5% increase in we're only getting 2.7 with, because we don't know if they're gonna cap it at 2% next year until legislation comes out of the stocks this year, capping it. We don't wanna drop it, because I think the state standard this year is 29 cents, so.
Because I think I read in the news that some other city got in trouble.
Creek lowered their levy below the limit, they lost almost 600,000 for their levy.
Instated.
In the municipal equalization fund, so we need to stay above the 29 cents, that's what they said this year. They could be higher next year, but if they cap everybody at 2% next year, they would not be able to go get any more revenue.
So you're recommending the last option, is what I'm hearing.
I wouldn't go as far as the last option, I mean, I would go by the growth and inflation, and it would give us a little bit more. Because on the maximum levy, we have to get, it's not that. Is that the one we have to do?
We might have to talk to
We have to
Tracy.
talk to Tracy on the last one, because you may have to go to the actual vote.
Okay,
Application would be the only thing. I mean, I would be fine with either the increase by growth and inflation or the same levy rate, because then it would give us a little bit more leeway in the general, just, your property taxes are what fund your projects, your, like park and rec, your library, the departments that don't, not the enterprises, like your waste, your water, so having a little bit more, we could do a little more with it and stretch it a little bit.
And we have a
to help
cushion
with
for-
projects in park and rec.
well, not only that, for employees too, if we needed to hire, cause Jesse's working an incredible amount of overtime. If we wanted to have an office
Yeah.
assistant and backup, we need to have that money in the,
Yeah,
to
and
pay
it
for
would
that.
help, we would be able to use it.
So would we be able to get someone in the office with the, same levy rate as last year?
The other thing is like Tracy and I talked some of this too, we just been taking out the outlay out of cash, so we aren't potentially increasing that cash either, so you're,
Looking flat year over year.
so I mean, by not taking at least inflation, you're
But if I remember right, talking to Tracy today, I thought we would have to go with those if we wanted
To do the max,
to
yeah.
do the max.
We can still get that on the general, would it be on the November election, or would it be? We have budget till October first, so how would you vote?
I'm not sure, that would be other questions or Tracy.
Well, I would recommend at least, at the very least, the same levy rate as last year.
Which would be the postcard and the joint meeting.
Cause that's the thing, I mean, if they do change everything and they do only cap us to 2% next year, then we are not gonna be able to go get this 5% or.
Right.
Or more.
Yeah, so you're thinking if we keep it at the same levy rate, we give ourselves a little bit of cushion in cash in case we take a hit next year.
Right.
So we have no idea what's gonna happen with tax income next year, or assessments,
Oh, we never do.
and potentially have a cap.
The cap is the biggest problem.
Right, for sure.
I,
But if you combine the cap and our assessment doesn't come in where we want it, we're in the world.
right, we're putting ourselves in a really bad place by going with just the increase by growth and inflation. But if we do the same levy rate as last year, hopefully would give us some,
How do we do the same levy rate as last year but end up in a postcard situation? What's the
It's because we don't have a high enough percentage of growth.
Okay.
Cause we can only go to 2% then, so.
Okay.
Do the max, same levy as last year, we're looking extra $27,622. And if we ask,
How much does it cost us to do the postcard? Do we have any idea?
We checked last year. It depends on if anybody else goes out on the postcard and stuff like that too.
Then you share costs at that point,
Yeah.
okay. Let's say they don't, then what's our max, we think? I mean, postage went up, but
I don't remember, maybe,
roughly,
cause
I would say, if I remember right, it was roughly between 12 and
seem like it gives us much, but when every penny counts,
What's the cost of taking it to a vote? That's a question, cause that maximum is 128,000, and then you can hit people decide, I mean, obviously you've had to cut some significant things, and, you know, and looking at more and more cuts, and it's always nice when the constituents can say, yes, we want to have a say, but then what's the cost of that? I mean,
I think that's going into probably your next budget year potentially, but I'm not positive then on that
That
too, because
I would
we'd be
have to talk to
starting our new
Tracy for
fiscal
sure.
year.
would you,
Because it
if
goes
it
up-
went to vote, would you get
Cause you would,
half of it allotted? Like, I don't understand how,
And you have to decide really then, yeah, what you, if you wanted, I mean, to try to get the public to go to the max or where you would want that level. So-
And we're limited on how we can campaign for that, like we can't do campaign,
right,
so.
I mean, yeah, I would, we have to assume this is literally just going on the ballot and people will decide. And so what happens if it doesn't pass? Then it defaults to what?
Then it would.
What we choose below that amount. So we could, I guess if we ask for the maximum and it does not pass, we could still go to the same levy as last year.
Or,
yeah, but the question is, you have the ballot closed, you know, on the 3rd, so can you still even get anything? Can you?
Right.
I think we can't go to the ballot this year. I think you would be planning for the, like I said, the following year probably.
But there's no ballot next year either, you have to have a special
could be a
election,
special election.
so then you're looking
which
at,
would,
be more costly.
yeah,
So basically, you have to know that you want to put something on the ballot 2 years before you actually do it, because, right? I mean, there's no, I mean, is there, I mean, now that, you know, the state budget hearing is basically, they're trying to, we're following all the rules as far as like, when we can do these things. But if the ballot closes on August, is it just for is it just for ballot initiatives? I mean, can city government put anything on, or is it, cause the way I was reading it, is like, it's done.
yeah.
Like, if we didn't put something on there by now, it's over.
yeah.
And a special election's certainly not gonna save us any money.
No, we would,
You know.
it would eat up the money, like. So I think we should do the same levy rate as last year.
I think we'd have a hard time getting anything to pass with this, like, people understanding why we're
Yeah.
doing it, and I don't.
We can't do it.
It feels like that takes time and awareness to create, because you can't campaign, so it just needs to be maybe some different initiatives on our behalf as a city to communicate the status of things outside of a standard meeting. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd have to think about public relations in a more proactive manner, I think, if you expect something to pass.
You basically have to make a decision to put it on the ballot before you even have any of this budget information.
Yes,
And so like, it's say somebody had a possibility for this year.
Yeah.
Next year's gonna be too costly, so it wouldn't make any sense.
right,
So basically in 2027, we have to decide,
yeah,
do we wanna put something on for 2028?
right,
Well, in 2027, I mean, everybody, the way that what they passed this year is all three, or I guess, all political subdivisions will go to you have to do a budget hearing with everybody in like June or beginning of July next year. So it'll be way before budget even starts. Supposedly there's gonna be no postcard next year.
So that's technically the postcard. Then
Hearing is,
you
it's
have
gonna be- It's gonna be a deal where basically every entity explains their budget.
What their budget process, so,
Is, yeah.
so you'll just explain what your budget process is, so the public is aware of when budget meetings are and things like that. And then you will already though have to have your budget hearing set, I think then too, cause that's advertised on that postcard then, is my understanding.
In June.
Yeah,
It'll be
it'll
at
be,
the end of June or beginning of July.
I think,
can't remember
yeah,
for
but
sure.
I think we had to have it
that's a
end of
challenge.
May, beginning of June, because it has to go on the postcards,
Yes.
so.
Let's play a game, but everyone's blindfolded.
That's
That's
right.
what it sounds like.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
So that takes the pink postcard out, so that you have a little bit more, not this type of thing then when we're trying to get everything stacked into place within the couple weeks period from when we receive valuations on the 20th and, yeah, go forward.
Yeah, cause we just got the valuations.
Yeah.
So today.
Yes, yeah,
So do we know for sure that this requires a general election vote? That's the, because we're not sure.
That's a deciding
the
factor.
maximum.
Yeah.
From what Tracy said today, I believe that's what she mentioned, is it would have to go to a vote.
So let's make sure, and let's see if there's a threshold between the same levy and the maximum.
We can call her, she's available if you
Yeah.
wanna call her.
Okay, let's call her.
Yeah, I think.
And then we
need to
can
know
ask
that.
her.
Yeah, because it means, basically, we're gonna finish this,
Otherwise
we're gonna
you're-
finish this
feel like
budget
you're
season, and then
throwing-
they're gonna move it all back, we're gonna start next budget season right after the election.
Right, pretty much.
This is Tracy.
Hey Tracy, it's Derek with the city attorney. The council's got some questions.
Okay.
So, one of the questions we have is when do we, what requires a vote? And can you put it on the ballot now, because the ballot looks like it's closed on August 3rd? So how would we do that?
To put what on the ballot?
We weren't sure if we did a maximum levy rate, and then there was a concern that would require a vote for like a citizen's vote. Is that correct?
Oh, that, I'm not sure, but I'm not sure that you would probably need to do that, cause you would have enough, exceptions. Cause you have that carryover of your unused restricted funds authority, and then we could use like the police contract if we needed to.
So,
Explain
because
that.
we don't have to pay that back.
So like on the restricted funds, or I guess authority computation now, it's not restricted funds anymore. But you have where you can go up your growth plus inflation.
Okay.
And then you have your unused authority that carried over from last year. And then, if that still doesn't put you at the max, then you could use some exceptions like, public safety. And so your interlocal with the police would qualify for that.
Okay.
So we don't have to put something on the November election. Is that-
I don't think so.
Okay.
So to make sure I understand, if we asked for the maximum levy rate based on the unused authority and the exceptions, that sort of cancels out the requirement to go to vote, or you?
I would think so, and I'd have to do the calculation for sure to see, where it would be at, but, cause I think you had quite a bit of carryover from last year, if I remember right.
Where's the carryover? Where do we see that?
It would be on page 9 of last year's budget. It's either, I think, 9 and Schedule 1.
While Derek is looking at that, I guess, are we also certain that if we did increase by growth and inflation, that we would be in a postcard situation?
You would be, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because your levy went up, or not your levy, sorry, your valuation went up by more than your growth plus inflation.
Okay.
Can we avoid the postcard and then use our unused authority and public safety still?
Yes, so I think in the email I sent, I think there's like, if you do just avoid the postcard this year, you'll have 17,000 something to carry over for next year that you could use. And that 10,000 that we've got going to the debt service, we could always reallocate that to the general and then take an exception for debt service.
Or are we essentially just moving things around and waiting for next year?
Right, I don't like that.
Right.
Well, that's
Plus, I wanna get help in the office because we have no backup. And the only way we're gonna do that is if we have more income.
Right.
Plus, plus the safety concerns I have with council chambers, we also don't have anything to address those.
If we did have to go to vote, Tracy, do you know, are we able to put anything on the ballot at this time?
That I'm not sure. I've never had to look that up before. But I can definitely find out and let you know.
Okay. Do we have what we need from her at this point?
I can't think of anything else.
So yeah, I guess the question is like, at the avoid the joint hearing, we get 17,000 for carryover. Is there a different amount we get for carryover at each level?
So it would just be on what you don't use. So you get your growth plus the 5.26%, and then you get what you don't use between that and what you ask for, and then it's limited. So you would have had if there was no limitation on it, because it's a 5% limit on the prior years. So that's where the 17,000 came in, but before that limitation, I think you were at like 24,000, but it is limited to a carryover.
So that's 5% of 30,
Of what the prior year request was, or authority, sorry.
12.
So it's like line 26 on page 8.
okay, I got it.
So we have 12,000 unused.
12, not 17.
Well, from last year, from page 9, when she said we have.
I'm pretty sure it's either 8 or 9, but I know it's not at line 26. It should be like 300 and some thousand.
That's what we requested last year.
So if we look at the advertisement, Tracy, if it's just on the bottom of last year's, is that the correct number?
Let's see, because it'd be on the authority calculation. My computer.
Sorry to see where this number comes from, so 344,164, that's last year's prior request, you multiply that by 0.05%, you get $70,208.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we march down this thing, we always just do it off the general, not the debt service.
Right, so it's calculated in total, but like I said, you could always reallocate that 10,000 to the general if you needed to, and then you can have a bond levy up to the amount that you're asking for debt, or that your debt service payment is.
So we avoid the joint hearing, if we reallocate the 10,000, we get $351,977, and then that is,
For the joint hearing is in total. I'm just thinking if you wanted to try and get a higher levy next year with more exceptions.
I'm just trying to make sure that I understand the calculation, that's 17,598, basically 17,600 bucks. If we do the total, 351,977, or am I supposed to calculate it off the 344,977?
Yes. Yeah.
341,977.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, to get my I guess the question is, to get my carryover, do I include the debt service, the 10,000 in the debt carryover calculation, or do I?
It's just looking at it in total. So if your request, sorry, I'm just waiting for my computer to to come up.
And we don't have to max it out, you guys can even just.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
Right,
Yeah,
but, I mean, any form in between there too, so.
So we can do like one form.
Cause if you tell Tracy, what I found is, what we have unused for future years is 12,600.
12,618
18 is what we have for unused by the forms that we had last year.
Yes, you could, if you wanted to for this year, use, the growth plus the inflation plus last year's unused, if you wanted to do that. And then just have, your 0 unused carryover.
Cause if I'm correct, Tracy, we no longer have to take it out the next year anymore, correct?
Correct.
Cause there was,
Yep.
as long as they don't change it, but there was, if you use your unused, you had to automatically take it out the next year. So,
If they changed that.
But if we go the postcard route, we're talking less than $2,000, potentially giving ourselves either a cash cushion coming into a cap.
Right.
We don't know if we're gonna have it or not, and or I guess, either cash cushion or some revenue to use for hiring.
Right.
And retention.
Right, and retention, cause insurance, all those benefits are, I mean, they go to 12, 14% a year, 20 a year.
And the go to vote is only if you ask the max, so if we stayed below the 0.45, any number below the 0.45, we would still be on the postcard, but would not be on the vote.
Right, so I'll check it, or I'll, have to do the calculation, you know, to make sure, what your exceptions are, and if it would require a vote.
Okay. So until we know that, when we make a decision,
Well, we can say,
make a
let's go to the
recommendation.
max, and if that doesn't work out, let's move down to 4, and if that doesn't work out, let's move down to 3.57.
Hopefully it doesn't happen next year, and that would still otherwise give you room to adjust following next year then too.
Right, but if it does, then we're stuck. That's
Do-
why I think we should go,
Do we need the max to make our budget? That's the big question. Like, is there a point, like, is it? I mean, I understand the rationale for both, but like, what makes our budget? And then what do we need for attrition on top of that?
Right.
Does 0.38 make our budget? And then do we just need to add, you know what I mean?
right,
You know what I mean? And so like, I think that's a piece that I wanna know is like, what makes the budget? If we're gonna have to, we've been avoiding the postcard forever. And, but the reality is it wasn't gonna be forever before we were gonna have to do it at some point. So I think before I wanna say, let's just go for the max, I'd like to know what makes our budget.
Well, and I don't feel like you should probably max it out, because if you do need it then in another year though, that's bad, and we wind up with the same type of growth or something, then you're not gonna have any ability to grow if you had something that was.
The question, that it gets back to the question is like, what does take me to your budget? If the max is what takes me to your budget, then we're gonna have to ask for the max. If that's not a requirement, then. But I'm with you, I don't necessarily wanna ask for the max either, you know what I mean?
Cause Tracy, would we be able, if we just did increase by growth and inflation, we could take that unused this year and use it towards our police contract, and then we would not have to end up taking that 12,000 off next year, correct?
So it's if you increase your tax by that, cause you have that 5% limitation, so you would lose some of that carryover if you don't use it this year.
Okay, so if we don't, correct, if we don't take it, or if we take it, we don't use it, then we'll lose it next year.
directionality of everything, I don't think that would be a concern, but I think I'm hearing what you're saying, Sam. I think we've always been, and everybody has their own vote, but I think we've always been as conservative as we can. Because it's expensive to live. As a family, as a human, it's just expensive. I understand we're also trying to plan for the unknown in the trajectory of costs and budget. So I think there's probably a happy medium somewhere. Do we know what it is? I mean, what is it going to take to balance our budget at minimum?
Because right now, cash is budgeting to decrease in the general fund about 488,000. I know 325,000 of that is for the CRA.
And another 30,000 for projects.
We'll have more than that, cause you'll have the pool and all that.
Oh, yeah, but yes, I just was thinking general. Because truly, if we did the increase plus growth plus inflation, we took our unused, we could put, I mean, we would be able to use it in the general. And that would, if we were to take the unused, that puts us at 384,000. If we can use it towards the, use the unused towards the police contract. And it would go there, and then we would have more.
So
going
same levy rate as last year
With the unused.
with our unused puts us,
That
in a
puts you
good
at
spot.
384,000 if you went, yeah. Sorry.
Roughly.
384.
And then does that cover our additional needs that we need as far as extra staffing and, safety concerns,
We would be able,
not really, cause that's not a line item in our budget at this point, I mean,
Right.
no.
well, some of it has been on there.
I mean, some of that can go towards our capital outlay projects of looking for new doors and
Right,
getting some other things done that need to be done, like at the office. It can go towards, part of it could go towards repainting of the pool, that project, and I mean, we would still be taking some from cash, but not as much if we do this.
right.
Well, we
I
still
mean, we've
haven't-
had good cash position for quite some time.
And if you look, I mean, on the previous sheet, you can see, Tracy did send us this today, but I
Where
mean,
the
it,
levies at and
not the levy, the general, like, our cash balance, so cash balance at nine thirty at 25 was 967,000, with all our revenues, transfers, starting the budget, we were looking at 1,255,211. Our expenditures this year, out of the general fund, we're looking at 1,177,810 with the estimated cash balance of 104, or 1,043,000. Cause then next year, you're looking, I mean, we do have that $500,000 drop just from projects in the general. Police is a wash on the cross. I mean, cemetery, we have the 3,000 for that. Library is even across. Park and Rec, we have the 75,000 in there for the pool, and then obviously the airport has a little bit in there with what we owe for the Blue Hanger. I mean, that would help our cash at the end of the year would actually be higher.
Mm-hmm.
And the other page does have kind of where your levies have been, so that kind of helps
For the
give you
past 10
kind of
years.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a good job on the levy, really
Mm-hmm.
aided by growth, obviously.
Right, cause if our valuations weren't going up, then we would be in a
Different situation, yeah.
And the levy the same year and using the unused, would still get you at like 37 to 38 cents
The same rate as last
So is that it? The 38 cents, covers the budget, that's our,
We'll go over that part, I don't know that it's gonna cover, I mean, it's where you guys determine where some of the stuff comes from, or what you wanna do, probably with some of the park and rec and stuff like that.
We can't be at a net zero, we've decided to make some.
no, I get that. You find out, I mean, to me, it's, I'm sorry, but.
No, that's fine, I think we're on the same page, just wanna make sure we're not trying to get to zero, cause that's not happening, we've made a decision to make some critical investments.
No way you could say net zero is if you weren't gonna spend any more money and nothing was gonna go up in cost next year.
Right.
And that's not a realistic expectation. You
Right.
find out what's gonna cover the budget, and then you say, what's a realistic growth next year, inflation?
Right.
And then how do we pad this so we don't have to yeah, extreme. And it might be the max. I just would like to be able to justify, I don't wanna just pick the max just to pick the max.
Right.
You know, I wanna know why we had to pick the max.
At the very least, I would like to do the same levy as last year.
I think, I agree with that.
I think the max is absolutely justifiable, because it still doesn't get us even at a net zero. But every year we make choices to pull from the general fund for required improvements, and it's where we're at this year. God forbid we get to a place where we cannot, we just, to sustain, have to use every last penny, but I think we need to plan for that, because we may get there, so. Yeah, it may be somewhere in between these two, and I think the same levy rate is fine, I would accept that when we bring in the unused from last year, we're looking okay. But I think we're completely justified to do the maximum levy
Right,
rate as well.
can we hire someone if we go to the max, can we get help in?
You're gonna just, in some ways though, you're gonna turn into the next problem next year. To an extent, that's
We
where,
have no room next year, if we do max right now.
Right, so then that would, what about if we did the same levy rate as last year, do we have wiggle room to get some help?
we'll see, I mean,
We'll have to
we'll just
budget.
have to see where we're at with stuff,
I mean-
but. And some of it's gonna be,
Because we'll get the new numbers, but I haven't see where we're at. I mean, we'd definitely be using less cash, which
Would help.
be able to, I mean, help in that sense of getting some people sit in the office, whether it's part-time, or something, or 25 hours.
Why would we in the same problem that next year? I'm not understanding that. Because if you can only max,
if
you
you-
can only max
if
the
you
max
max-
once.
right, once you're maxed out, I mean, then you're only gonna get your growth,
Growth.
so.
And if you don't grow,
And, yeah, and obviously we were close to not growing this year, so.
it's a bit of a gamble. I mean, we have I guess the problem is if you had it and it was gonna be cash and it would grow as an investment and help us, then maybe you would take it, but if we took it now, it would just be covering expenses, like we're not, you know what I mean? So we're almost safer, I guess, than to save ourselves that cushion in case we have to have it.
Next year.
It'd be nice to be able to take it so you put like in a bond or something like that. you know?
Right.
You know, like.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like,
Right.
if you could earn money off of it, then take it, but you can't,
Right.
so. Give yourselves a safety net for next year.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so is this just recommendation at this point, based on, I mean, and then you guys will plug in some numbers?
So what will happen at this point, we'll still go over kind of the rest of the stuff tonight that we had, that you guys can still think about it for just a little bit more. We'll decide where you want to set the levy, and then, cause then if we're still gonna plan to have the hearing on the second, we'll have to know tonight to
the 25th.
If we're gonna move our public hearing.
So what you're saying is you prefer to know tonight?
If you're wanting to continue on the schedule that you want. And it's not that, I mean, there's abilities still to, change the budget, it's just that we would not take it within a tax levy rate request, probably then at that point.
Delaying kind of pigeonholes us a little bit. We have two unknowns with the max. Can we even take it to a vote? Is it required to vote?
Right.
And it leaves us no options next year.
So I would rather go with the same letter basis.
And you can still use the unused authority, I mean, that is still your option, I mean, you could potentially make that motion at that time to use the same levy rate with the unused authority, and then Tracy would just calculate it or something like that.
Did I hear you say something about how do we gain access to use last year's funds? Like, is that how do you do that?
You would use it as an exception.
As
So
an exception?
They would
Okay.
be used towards like police, public safety, if we had a fire department, you could use it towards that.
It is just an option to do, there is not any kind of political,
Well, it used to be if you use your unused, like if you use it towards an exception, then that next year you automatically had to take it off, you were not allowed to use it. And
you
you
know,
never change it, you never know, but they changed it this year, I believe, to where you don't have to take it off your next budget year. So then like if it was set up the way it was last year, if we took that 12,000, we would lose it automatically in next year's budget. We would not be able to reuse it. But the way that the legislature passed this is we can use it, and we do not have to take it out of the budget next year.
So we were at 41 cents in 2018, and we were 39, 39, 38.7, 38.7, 39, 36, 36, 35, 33.
That would only be, that's what we just had from what I plugged in tax wise this year. I mean, that 26 and 7 would be more than 33.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that like if we went, it's not unheard of it to be at 38.
No,
You know?
Right.
no,
So we could just.
And we were at 39 a couple of years ago. I mean, that we're keeping it within a fairly,
I
you
think
know.
historically,
Well, we've never been as high as 45.
right.
Not in the last 10 years.
no, and we were maybe a little higher when I started at certain points, but I don't know that I don't remember that we completely maxed out, but I can't remember for sure.
It's just kind of curious. I mean, we weathered it through COVID. It's just kind of curious if we just end up fighting ourselves because we, you know, kept it because that was those super high inflations.
Mm-hmm. Right, for city-wise, we probably would have been better off having it a little higher, but as far as with people having trouble working, I think we did the right thing.
Sure. Well, no, actually, if we look at, the total was 36.17 last year. So then if you look at actually underneath, we were at 46 during COVID and then 45, then 42. So we already dropped, we actually went up and then did drop it.
Mm-hmm.
So 38 for 2 years, then 36, 42. This is not within the realm of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where we've been. I'm hesitant to jump all the way back up to COVID numbers at 45,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm certainly,
And that was due to the bond that the public had voted upon at that point too.
sure.
So, cause I mean, you can look at the difference between the general fund and the debt service also, so.
Yes, okay, thank you. If 38 covers it, then I think that, and 45 is the max, and we can burn a bridge of going at 45,
Yes.
then why don't we just go in the middle and just say 40?
You wanna go 40?
Well, I think it's justifiable, it's within our range. We were at 42 in 2022. That covers us and gives us a cushion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tracy, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just doing the authority calc real quick. And so you'll use all of the unused last year, the 12,618. And then, we'll probably show like the debt service as an exception, for 10,000. And then that'll get you there, so let me run it at, and that was with keeping the same levy. If you wanna go up to 40 cents, let me run that quick. That would have to use the police contract. Yeah, because the police contract's pretty high, so we'd have to use that. So we would use, looks like about 38,000 of the police contract. And so then we'd have to add those back next year, but then we can always take them again as an exception.
If we leave it at the unused and, the same levy though, then we wouldn't have to, we'd have that, all of those exceptions for next year then.
Right.
And that, I just did 12,000 instead of got to the exact change. And when I did just 12,000, it was 0.3734 would be the levy, I think, is how I calculated it. And yeah, so that would have left
So
600
is it
and
worth
some
it to go to
still
40
unused.
cents and lose our exceptions?
Right, we would lose our exceptions next year.
But we can take them again, is the thing.
Or we can take them again next year.
But you're gonna just.
Yeah.
You just keep
You
kicking
just
it
keep
in.
doing it
Yeah.
until they go
Change the
back to
rule.
change rules again where you automatically lose.
Cause then that would give us some wiggle room.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
So what is the total at 40 cents?
The total would be 423,776.
Okay. And what is it at 42
Um,
and 38, please?
42 cents would be 444,334. 30, you said 38 cents?
Yes, please.
403,218.
Thank you.
What do you guys think?
Tracy, what do you suggest?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't go less than last year's levy rate.
Okay. Yep, I agree. cents, that's an extra $30,000. And at 40 cents, it's an extra 50.
I like that extra.
I think the answer is one of those three.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I do too. And if we're gonna go with the expense of the postcard, we might as well do the four, or no, that one actually.
Yeah.
That's good. What do you think?
I mean, at 40 cents, you can still, if you need more, you can still. I think 40 is a good number.
That's what I was
We
thinking.
can definitely support it on higher with that. Do some projects, I mean, we're already using as much of the cash, so we still have that cash there in case we need it for something. So,
And we can get office. Yeah, you want to adjust the graph. Okay. Any other questions?
For Tracy, no, thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yep, yep, no problem.
Yeah, it's 38 is 30, 40 is 50, and 42 is 70.
Okay, do we need a motion?
We didn't really finish what we were doing with the rest of the budget, we kind of jumped to this, then we went to the
Okay.
general fund, so maybe finish that, and then, like I said, guys can take a think about it while we're talking about that stuff too.
Okay. Tracy, if we have more questions, we'll give you a call.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, where were we at?
So we were, the new sheets, Derek did put it like just with the non-pink postcard was a typical one, just to get it going.
So if, and when we decide what we wanna do, we'll obviously get the numbers put in there, so. See, otherwise, general, I mean, this year, capital outlay wise, computers is gonna be the big one. We need one for sure, possibly two. Then we have that little bit of CRA in there, 225, which is just its own line item. Door replacements, I'm still waiting on 2020. And then obviously the electrical upgrade to the building, which I'm not gonna estimate yet from Carlson, which is something that the insurance company wanted to do with the old slide breaker boxes inside the shop.
And we may need a new copier,
Possible.
so.
Worst case, some days, other days is.
Have to run to the library and make copies.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Don't jinx it.
It is our printer, so that.
But it is, I mean, it's still city.
So, and that's what I did down at the journal, so, any questions on that? Moving on to the library, they had their meeting last Wednesday. Everything in orange is what they have adjusted in their budget. They did have to adjust their grant expense, and they adjusted FICA to what we recommended. They lowered their dues and training. They did increase their they did, approve their budget at their meeting, so that is their numbers that they are going to go with this year. Lottery, we have the project of what Chris wants to do with the welcome sign at the park.
Which we already approved.
Yeah, and she's working on getting with like Travis to get new signage for it. Somebody is going to redo the shades on it. They're gonna paint the poles, and then she is working, I believe, with Ryan Potts on possibly getting new electrical over to it and getting some new lights on it, so they'll be visible during nighttime too. And we had budgeted that $2,700 to go towards that project there.
And we have received, grant money and donations that are currently in our park and rec, account. So if it doesn't go, you know, it's just like normal then, if we don't expend it this year, then we will see those expenses come out next year then, so.
And then moving on to the park and rec, I did adjust on the income side, the transfer from electric, I did move that up to 100,000 to, help support this budget a little bit more. And then in the contract labor, I did take out the 2,500 for paying the I did talk to Brittany, and what, I guess, from what she had told me and talked to the other people in Tri-County League is all their get paid. We wouldn't be the only ones that would not pay our if we did do that. She talked to Sutherland. What Sutherland does is they pay their and they have one guy that mows, does the fields, but it is up to coaches to chalk the fields and find those to for them, but they do pay their in the end. And then the employee match FICA, that would drop. I did in wages and salaries, I went off what you guys had said, that $7,000 drop for a little more that I had in there, roughly $7,000. That would be if we did close the pool for a full day of swim, like closing it on a Monday, having night swim Monday, Thursday night, not having it on Wednesday night, and just keeping the hours the same. Cause you're still gonna have, you're not gonna change the expenses and the chemicals, you're still gonna be running chemicals through it. I mean, as far as lifeguards, I took out 8 hours for 5 lifeguards, cause I mean, you're still gonna have the lifeguards. You're gonna have a pool operator up there no matter what, cause they gotta go check chemicals. You're gonna have lifeguards that wanna do private swimming lessons, which we're still getting the money from the swimming lessons. It would just be them being open to the public, which you guys wanted to see, just suggestion wise, would be closing a day and getting rid of the night swims, which only hit it on into about 7,000. So, looking at this budget now, we are down to about 8,000 difference instead of the 30.
Okay, that's better.
But it's up to the council on that part.
Yeah.
We could go back where we were, you guys could transfer some of that tax money to
I
that,
mean,
but it's.
I did run some numbers. What I had previously projected to you guys was putting it right at per capita, which was suggested last year. If we do the 100,000 and the 112, we would be at 181 is what I figured, which
Per
would be
capita.
$12 over per capita.
I don't think we wanted to close the pool for a day. I think we had kind of decided, like, it's a short season. but
Cause
what can
I
we do for
figured
hours?
take
they're
2
open
months.
for about 12 weeks.
Yeah,
And then cutting a day, getting rid of some nights, getting rid of a couple nights, because you're only cutting 3 hours,
right.
so.
So
And is
closing
there,
a full day is what we have to do to really
Right.
make a dent.
to make a difference, is there another way to reduce parking?
If we can hire somebody to mow, we could probably save another get somebody to mow besides having the public works guys do it.
Out at the ball fields.
No, at the
Not at the park, ball fields, that's what truly
That
kind
part's
of,
gotta take all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then some, how many hours do they,
they
every time
probably
they
mow
mow?
20 to 25 hours a week is the thing.
That's insane.
Can we get a groundskeeper to do it?
That's what, yeah, if we can get somebody to.
So,
I mean, you're
But
gonna
the,
send a
but we have,
but we keep having it too,
you gotta,
cause the state,
insurance wise, they have to be
oh, insurance,
old
it's
enough, they
insurance.
can't drive. I mean, it's not really expensive. Somebody basically driving around there, they motors, like.
Yeah, but that'd be still cheaper, I mean, you could drop off the guy with the mower and let him, I
The,
mean,
the thing with high school help though too is we don't get that overlap of months usually, cause they're in.
Cause we
So-
usually start mowing about April and don't get that until October.
So could we
That's
do a
fair, but so we're talking
combination?
about a groundskeeper position.
Which we have figured in kind of like our wages and salaries what we use past ordinance. I mean, if we could actually get maybe a kid that is graduated or college students back for the summer that just wants something to do part-time, it would.
Have we ever advertised for a groundskeeper before? And we get nothing?
It's been a while since we tried it.
What's the rate, what's the wage we pay? Can't remember.
I think we did 15
to 19, or it was 15, 26 to 19, I believe,
Cause it kind of depends on who we have hired.
And they can go to Walmart and get sent to.
Cause the thing, if we truly wanted to save money, we need to probably hire somebody $16, $17 an hour to truly save that $10 an hour that we're paying between
So,
public work employee to somebody that's just looking.
I mean, I think I'd rather go that route than close the pool for a day. I don't think that's gonna go over well. We've got a lot of money invested in that pool, it's a short season.
people voted on it,
Yes.
they voted on the pool,
They
they
were
wanted
very
the pool.
clear.
And so like the pool should be open,
Yeah.
unless we're gonna go, especially if we're gonna go 40 cents, got 40 cents, you know what I mean?
We
We're gonna
could
save
look
10 grand.
at taking some of the property taxes to fund that 8 or 10,000 to, or, I mean, you know, not close for a day. If we do the 40 cents, we could take some of the property taxes and increase the market or budget a little bit more if we need to.
Still thinking about the mowing thing. Cause I mean,
there's a someone.
I know, but the thing is like, they have to be 19, can we just pay them less if they can't drive themselves, and maybe that like one of the public, I mean, it'd be cheaper to have a public works guy going, pick it up and drive it back, like everyone else, it's a quick phone call. You know what I mean, I get it, but we have a lot of people that could do it, and we have, you know, a whole mess of people around here that their kids don't even go to high school, you know, and they're good workers, you know what I mean? And if you could advertise, I don't know, $14, huh?
I said I'd start advertising.
I know, you could just say $14 if you can't drive yourself, and $17 or $18 if you can, you know what I mean? But you have to be 19 years old. I think there's a solution, I think there's, I
We
think
need
there's,
to think about it, yeah. I mean, are there certain is there certain hours we need to do the mowing necessarily? Like if somebody had another job, could this be another, like an additional job? for
It
them?
would just be nice if they could do it during the week, that way, you know, if they do have something.
Yeah, but I mean, like in a
happens.
day, like our guys mow all day long. If this individual, like, if they had a daytime job, is there any way to make that work?
Sometimes I think Gary, when he was doing it, was mowing 5 to 6 hours a day sometimes, so.
It's a full freaking day.
every day.
Not every day, but when
At
you
least
are,
2 to 3
because
times.
you're trying to hit it Monday and Tuesday, it depends if you have rain and things that like.
Yeah, I get that.
They get thrown off.
And we don't wanna probably contract it out to somebody, cause I think we're probably gonna pay more for somebody to do this work. And we wanna be able, you know, if we got the 4th of July event or something like that, and say,
Gotta be done.
contractor's busy and we need to go, we'd be like, hey, this needs to get done today.
So the only issue is the individual driving a vehicle and the mower
Like,
to
yeah,
the
well, that's the
location.
thing, if they're 19, they can hop on the mower
But they're not, yeah, but they're not sitting, we don't have our public works guys sitting in the park for 5 hours running around the mower.
Instead, he just has a half an hour that he's running someone.
Yeah,
So it makes more sense just, even if we can get someone who's not 19 to mow, and then one of the guys would just have to jump them off.
And it's 18, I think. Insurance doesn't really want us to go over that age, I think, too, a lot when we.
let's
tried
find
to
that
do it
out.
multiple times.
Let's find out if we can have a 14-year-old kid, a couple 14-year-old
We
kids.
can't do 14 because there's certain power-driven stipulations, and I can't remember though if they can't weed eat or if they can't mow, or there's some different stipulations.
Let's find out what it is, cause I mean, it's still have, so I mean, if they can run the mower and like, you know, one of the public works guys, he has to run the weed eater, fine. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just thinking, like, if we had, yeah, if they can be 15 or 16, and you can just meet them at the park. Get yourself to the park, that's your, well, I said to clock in here, right, find Peanut City, get a ride from Public Works, that's in 30 minutes out of Public Works day.
Max.
Versus 5.
Max, yes,
Yeah, I mean, load up the trailer, load it, sit it down there.
yeah.
Call me when you need a lunch break, we'll come get you a lunch break. You know what I mean?
Which they wouldn't have, if they didn't go an 8-hour day.
Huh?
Honestly, they just have breaks.
Yeah.
If it wasn't an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
I think we need to look into that, I think that is a more feasible and acceptable solution.
We got a lot of ag kids around here, I mean,
Well,
there's.
and we have found individuals that are retired, but that they
That
just
would do
wanna.
it too.
some-
Great.
I mean, that's who we've had hired in the past,
Oh, get him then.
so.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. And what if we just had 2 or 3 people, so it was just, if they didn't need the hours, we had some flexibility.
Yeah, we need a force gun.
Yeah.
Just love to mow.
I love mowing, actually.
Yeah, that's very good. There
It's
you go.
quite peaceful.
There you go.
No one can talk to you when you're mowing.
Right.
I
No
love
one's
that.
complaining.
I love it. Okay, anyway, carry on. I think, yeah, I think we don't wanna close the pool, so I don't, if we need to work that into the budget, rework that
And
budget.
the contract labor fact that, I mean, this year it was around 12, I said, but then when you have, if you have tournaments, then, yeah, cause the tournaments are a different rate.
I appreciate you running the numbers.
I do too. I think that's rough to be the only city not paying our umps, like, and I think we're gonna struggle to get umps if that's the situation, so be careful.
And what, I
We
mean, what
struggle.
are they paying? What are the other
It's
cities?
minimal.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not paying that much, but it's like, you know. No, I meant like we get like what's the salary?
Usually, we do,
Like $20 a game or something.
it's
We
roughly about
use
that.
minimum wage and then we go from that kind of standpoint, because at each game we know how much they can max out at and
Okay.
stuff, so.
So some they do like 15 and 20, one of them does 15 and 25, 15 is for, you know, base, 25 is for plate. Another one does 20 for base, 35 for plate. Another one does 30 for plate, 20 for base. I don't have any of the
Given the
numbers.
abuse that they take, that's nothing.
So, and that's kind of, I mean, that's our range, I mean, we
Yeah.
kind of are in that same range, depending, the older they get, the higher the
More,
rate it
yeah.
is.
Like T-ball, we don't pay $30 an hour to do plate for T-ball.
Right. Okay.
Alright, go, try it that direction then.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Moving on, well, and then, yeah, our park and rec projects, sorry. We still are working on, getting all of the aluminum planks replaced on the benches. That's an ongoing project. Restore and repaint the concrete seats. Some of those funds are donated by the youth improvement, and then we are still talking to Michelle. She was trying to get with Daniela to see when she was gonna finish those. Tennis court, playground bench, we got memorial
We got some
donation
memorial
money
funds for
to
some of that.
hopefully, once the ones at the band shell are done, we can possibly do the ones over by the tennis court and have everything match. reserve.
we have any people capacity to get this done before the winter?
We have a new hire, so we
Okay.
should. Then we budgeted a little bit for, some more dirt for the ball fields, and then obviously the majority of it is going to be sandblasting and painting the pool.
Yep.
Then moving on to our police contract, that obviously all comes from taxes, which we can use, like Tracy said, some of that unused is an exception towards that. And then moving on to sales and use tax, we have $270,000 going to the debt service for a pool payments, $140,000 going into the street department for our pool project this year. Then moving on to sewer, there is no changes there. So if you look at the capital outlay project, we do have the 10,000 budgeted in there for, if we possibly need a new pickup, and then the 17,000 in our cleaning and janitorial.
What we do up to 30,
We
actually.
do up to 30.
Yeah,
Is it-
it kind of depends on
Because
what
last year we did
happens,
7.
right? We usually have been doing it in a contract, or doing it with the same vendor at the same time. But some of it goes in sewer and some of it goes in streets if we're doing storm sewer, but we don't go over 30 because that's, our threshold. So, it just kind of gets divided. So we put all the 30 basically almost into the sewer so that we have that flexibility if it's needed just in the sewer. And that capital outlay threshold, of course, we have that conversation when it has an increase, so in the future, we would be able to, depending on the council, where you guys can list some of that through code, so.
Then moving on to the street, we did leave the capital outlay the same at 360. Tom figured probably 315 to 320 to do the, Sherman to Paul Avenue project on Third Street. Talking with Billy, there is a couple of alleys that do need some new concrete poured in front of them. The entrances, they've just got broken up and are getting worse with the garbage truck and everything else. So we may move some of the money around. I don't know if we'll really need asphalt patch this year. That may be moved into concrete, which would be curb and gutter improvements, that we do there. Tom is supposed to be here tomorrow, so we're gonna hopefully grab him for a minute, go around and look at some entrances and alleys to see which ones are worse. Get some prices on those, but, I mean, looking at the capital outlay, we have crack sealing and asphalt patching, which may be moved down into the curb and gutters, and then we have the storm drain cleaning, a thoroughly used pickup, and then our street projects, which was what Tom originally quoted me from Sherman to. Sherman Warren, yes. Street name. And then moving on to waste, I did not change anything in this draft, but after looking more closely to it, talking with Bill, he said we could probably make some repairs on the truck, get by. We kind of discussed, because we've been everybody in the office. We are not hitting our 15% in waste, and we're not close to hitting it even this year if we take out our capital outlay anywhere, possibly making $2,000 this year.
So we need to increase it.
I had proposed increases, Jesse was nice enough to do increase worksheet for us. If you flip a couple pages, you'll see we have proposed a 10%, 15%, 20% increase. If you take what we have done last year and this year over the 14 years, if we were to increase it another 10%, we basically been increasing it 2.5% every year for the last 14 years. The 15% would be 2.86%, and then the 20% would be 3.29%. I put numbers together so you guys can see moving in the back. So if we went up 10% this year, we'd be looking at about an $18,000 increase, which would give us some cash if we were to possibly maybe in March or April, since we know it's gonna be 200 days before we get a truck, that'll give us a little bit more cash anyways, and possibly budget it into the first fiscal year, ask them if they can accept the truck after October 1st of next year. I mean, we wouldn't be much, we'd probably still be looking at possibly taking some from the electric department next year, going into it and then having to repay back. And then I have, moving on to the option 2 at the bottom, that is our 15% increase, we'll be looking at $321,000 in revenue, which would still be below that 15% margin that we need to maintain. We'd be at 32,000. And then moving on to option 3, we would be closer, I think I figured it would be like 13-14% margin if we increased it another 20%. I would recommend increasing it 20% if that's what you guys would like to see, just that way we can get more cash into our waste department, because we do have some stuff that is getting older, where it's probably even looking lower here in the next 2 to 3 years, and maybe sooner than that, but then that way we are building that cash revenue back in there, so we're not having to go get loans or take loans from other departments to support our equipment.
And Tracy, we did confirm with that too today, that yeah, we could still do a loan directly from like our electric department with whatever terms we choose, or of course we could go out to a bank or something like that, but of course that interest rate's higher type of thing, so if we have the availability, that would be a recommendation to loan, take a loan from ourselves. And she said quite a few communities do that, so, and then you guys can set the terms out, I mean, if you don't want it to be 0% interest, you can have it at whatever percent you want, so that would go back to one difference.
It makes more sense to pass the expenses to people rather than to make loans.
Yeah, I would say.
I mean, looking at the sheet with the 20% increase, we would be looking at another 6 years for your residential service. Your commercial service is gonna jump $8. Large users is gonna be 16, and then outside will jump 8, 10, 18. And it is expenses, but we did talk if we could possibly, because Bill said we were interested in the computer. There's a few things we're gonna fix, just kinda get by, hopefully nothing else major goes, but as far as pins and bushings, and the lift and everything else, that is gonna have to be done probably within the next couple months anyways.
I think our annual budget is also almost always about that for dumpsters, correct?
The
And-
21,000, yeah. We've been trying to replace the ones that are messing out at the bottom or the sides and stuff. I know
happens if we even cut that by half and spread it out over 4? Do we get ourselves in a bad cycle where we never get out of replacing, or?
But, well, and part of it's, this is like our load, like, that's the thing too, if you try to break up the load, I don't know if it'll cost more, cause I mean, you still have that set amount of freight kind of on
Gotcha.
it, so.
Okay.
So that's why we've been doing what we were doing kind of.
We
I
kinda do
think.
what we can afford at the top end of the flat rate for
Yeah,
shipping.
so, and like he said, I mean, they've almost got, I mean, you can tell when you're driving around, if you're looking in the
Yeah.
alleys, cause they're that different style now, so when you drive by, I mean, you can kinda tell there's so many like round ones left or something like that too.
So in a couple years, do we have the 21,000
Then we
that
could,
would not be expensed for some period of time?
that's what our plan would be.
That would
have to
be the plan, and then, cause realistically, looking back through the history, we got I think it was a dump truck, then we got a loader, and then we got a new garbage truck, and it was just bang, bang, bang.
So no new dumpsters during that period.
Probably not.
We might have still at that time, the dumpsters were a lot cheaper though at some
Yeah.
of those points.
I guess that's what
so-
I'm thinking, like, if we could spread out dumpsters, or if we even skip a year, I don't know what that does to the ones we have, and if, like, we don't wanna be in dire straits, that's not good. But does that put us closer to our garbage truck goal? Like, I'm just spitballing, what trades can we make?
To get,
Can we buy ourselves time on one avenue to figure out this larger expense?
I know this year they already put all of them out that we had, so I know we still definitely want them this coming year.
This
probably.
year, okay, maybe next year we could
Maybe then we'd be
possibly
able to
skip.
stretch after
Yeah.
that and see.
I mean, taxpayers can cover the cost no matter what,
Yeah,
right? So like, the thing is, it's like, do you just wait for the big bill to come in, or do you start saving a little bit, you know, each year?
yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out, like, do we take a huge hike?
Just
And then we settle for some time, or are we taking a huge hike and then we continue to take a huge hike? I just wanna make sure we're.
Right, we're talking about increasing waste, we're talking about increasing the percentage of the levy, we're talking about,
Yes.
you know, the thing is, it's like, if you
Water.
know this big expense is
Water
coming,
just went up.
yeah, but if you know this big expense is coming, what is better, I guess? Is it better to increase now and put a little bit, basically, like, if you knew you were gonna have to buy a new car,
Start
is it,
saving,
it's better to start saving,
yeah.
yeah,
and.
But can also, you have to figure out what your budget is for a car, because you need to figure out what you can afford monthly. And are we at a point where our citizens, I'm thinking about the ones on fixed incomes, I just wanna be very careful, we're
Yeah.
not increasing too many things all at once that really causes some issues,
Yeah.
so.
but all of us wants our trash picked up on time, so.
Yeah, we do, we definitely do.
Don't wanna sit in
So
the
if
alley.
you.
But we've got 3 options here. One of us gets us to our goal immediately. 2 of them do not. We have not been at 15% in this department since I've been here, I don't think. So, do we need to take all of it right now? I don't, I'm not
Maybe
inclined
let's
to
go
think
to
so.
the middle.
I think we need to be more conservative and give folks a little bit of a break. Yes, we're savings for something, but we seem to be better at waiting until we really are forced and then being as gentle as we can about it. I'd rather not just jump on this at full speed.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents. I mean, you guys obviously have your votes, so.
Do we need a motion on that tonight?
It's more
Guidance.
just what
Kind
you
of talk
want for
about it, and
the
then we'll
budget, I mean, you guys then will do a formal, resolution then from that point
Or
forward.
I'm thinking the middle one, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I'm fine with the middle of the 10, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a roll of the dice, we don't know when the truck's gonna actually die. I mean, yes, we could start with the, we could go all in, of course, but when the truck dies, then we have to buy it. and we're probably not gonna buy dumpsters that year, and we're probably, we may have to get a loan, so that does get passed on. And so there is no like 100% guarantee. If you go 15%, you might be buying a truck in 18 months.
Right.
And that expense does get passed on. But this is, whatever we set here, I mean, that's a guaranteed cost. And if the truck lasts for 5 years, could we have bought the truck with a 15 or 10% increase? I know it may not last that long, but
I mean, we're looking at the loader though too, probably in
Okay.
the next few years. It's just the reason why I put
Sure.
all 3 of them on there, cause that is getting to the point where it's getting old, where possibly maybe looking forward, instead of buying one, we look at a lease program. Something where maybe we can do a 2-3 year lease, or
Yeah.
if they offer something like that, then we can just turn that over and keep the newer stuff so we don't have the bigger repairs on something like that too.
And we are hoping that some of this, you guys are looking at the different ordinances and stuff that would help maybe alleviate so that we aren't having to do as much, transport to or.
Okay, so, I guess crunch the numbers for the middle one is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Alright, now what do you have for us?
And then water, and that one we did not change anything on. And our water projects that we have in there is, we put 832,000 in there. We know we weren't probably gonna do the water project on Logan and the well at the same time, so it gives us a little room to put in there for a pickup, and then also meters and meters points for the subdivision. So we're trying to move forward on that side.
That's fun, it's really the best.
And then the very last page is the transfer worksheet. And the only thing that changed on that would have been your $100,000 transfer out of electric and your $100,000 transfer into park. Otherwise, everything else would remain the same.
Alright, so moving on to, approval reporting task and scheme.
Sorry.
The county clerk.
So, setting the proposed tax asking, so that we can.
Budget hearing.
We gotta go percentage. So I went back and recalculated the averages, the average over the last, since 2017, and it's 41 cents, so 40 would be just under the average. It gives us a $50,000 cushion.
Sam.
No one else is here.
Makes it kinda hard.
Oh, it's me.
Sam moved, Kimberly second, that we have the tax asking for 2026, 2027 at 40 cents. Any more discussion? Kimberly, you move.
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, motion carried.
And then we have to have our, representative that will be there at the meeting.
Do we know when the meeting is?
No, they just set the meeting and that's when we have to go.
And that's be a council member or the mayor?
And it's within the set period that we see.
Do we know the time?
We actually have to
Think
name the
last-
person?
I think last year was in the county.
Day of the week of it.
It's gotta, I think it's gotta be done by
So say the time for everything.
Can we pick an alternate too?
I think that's a good idea in case someone can't make it. I would be willing to go unless it's on, in September, it's,
And I can't remember, I know the new rule is gonna be that the mayor can't go, or
Can?
can't be the representative, you still have to have one that, now you can present that. 'Cause
Is that
we'll have to
effective,
have
is that
one-
effective this year?
I can't remember if it was effective this year or not, because what they're trying to get at then is that a voting member is
Oh.
there type of thing. You could be the one potentially to present information or something like that, there's still those.
But then we have two people there. Because you
Yes,
still
and you
to
can have,
a-
you can have a quorum there, there's nothing, wrong with that or, anything like that.
well, I think it's more
added
who's
that,
available.
it's just that, yeah, you do have to have I think, a selection of the representative.
I mean, Andrea and Terry are here, so we just move them.
Yeah, I say Andrew and Tierney be our representative.
Alternate.
And that we can technically, we could add it back onto our next, or our meeting, because we would have time till, still to give them that information. So we can do more.
Even at the
research.
next meeting though, we won't know the specific day.
We are gonna know the specific day, but I can make sure we know the range and that type of thing
When does
too.
it have to be done by?
We have to have it there by the 4th of September.
So the meeting is gonna be sometime after the 25th and before the 4th?
No.
No.
It's gonna be in September, like.
It'll be between the fourth, and I'm pretty sure last year the date was the
Yeah.
20th. It had to be done by the 20th.
Yeah,
I can't tell you.
Right.
right.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it on the 25th.
So we'll get closer and maybe the county has any, I mean, but usually they're kind of waiting to see who's all gonna be on it also at that point, so.
Selection of a representative. So when we select the representative, that individual must be present. If we select two people, they have to both be present? Or like, what is the deal with this?
We'll review over stuff.
Yeah,
again,
see,
'cause
there's
we
an
haven't
alternate.
had to do it and I just forgot today to kind of review
Yeah.
over all the.
Okay.
So please check if it has to be, we can do an alternate and see if the mayor's allowed to do it this
Yeah.
year.
And why do they have to be named? Why can't it just be a member of council?
Right, why can't it just be
I
a
think,
member?
and part of this is gonna be who's going to be like the representative that's going to, cause you have to then do a presentation to at the
Like,
joint
how
meeting,
long of a
so
presentation? Do we need PowerPoint,
we'll get that all figured out.
graphs? I mean,
Interpretive dance, actually.
Maybe if we.
What kind of
Who's got the most
presentation?
rhythm? Oh gosh, if we could have that information by the 25th, that might help us,
Yeah.
A, figure out who's
So-
available, and B,
Yeah.
who has the best rhythm for the interpretive dance.
I would just suggest that you table it till the,
Okay.
when this meeting.
I will make a motion to table the action and discussion on the approval of the representative, to attend for exceeding the 2%.
Second.
Until the 25th, table until the 25th.
Second.
Kimberly moves, Sam second, that we table the asking of the representative till the August 25th.
Until we can have a dance off.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, figure out who should be there.
Add the meeting minutes, please.
Derek's gonna make the PowerPoint anyways.
Yeah.
Alright,
Jared will also be dancing.
Yeah, that's right.
I will not.
Don't wanna put us to shame.
I will not.
Let's give us a chance.
alright, we are adjourned at 8:40.
Did you do roll call vote on that?
No, we didn't.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry, I'm so tired that,
I know it,
alright, so we, any discussion?
we had plenty, I think
Alright.
we read.
Yeah.
Kimberly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, unless you carried. Jeez. Okay, now we're adjourned, sorry, at 8:47, still at 8:47. Alright, thank you everyone for the hard work.
I have to get the Nintendo Switch out.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
we
Have
go.
Just Dance.
Yeah.
Start working on your choreography.
Uh-huh.
I do have a cheerleader in the family, maybe she'll help me out.
That's right,
She
right here.
figure out the account, the corporate account.
She might be able to like, wanna do it with you.
I
You guys do stuff.
Yes.
Recording stopped.